Welcome to All Pro Football Data. My name is Jim Cobern, and today's episode we're talking about what happened to C.J. Stroud. Stroud started out hot in 2023, leading to the Houston Texans going all the way to the playoffs. The Texans are in the playoffs again this year, but 2024 has become more of a sophomore slump for Stroud. So, in this video, we're going to be looking at advanced NFL statistics to see what led to the drop off in CJ Stroud's performance from 2023 to 2024. To learn more about the different terms and definitions that I'm going to be talking about today and the different statistics, you can go to the link in the description at Pro Football Reference for a glossary of terms. So, with that said, let's get to the video. So, first off, passing performance, air yards and yak. This is very simple stuff to understand. Air yards is essentially dealing with how far the ball travels through the air. So, typically, more yards per attempt. A big play offense is the biggest estimation of what air yards is. Yak, of course, is the small stuff that leads to big gains. So yards after contact. So typically, you might have different types of offenses. You might have some offenses, such as, say, the Kansas City Chiefs, where they're very much more so on the spectrum of tossing the ball to the tight end or to the wide receiver in the flat to get a big gain, or a dig route, etc. Whereas with air yards, you're typically going to be getting those bigger plays down the football field, and some offenses are more geared towards that. Most NFL offenses are actually more towards the yak side of things nowadays than they used to be, but it kind of ebbs and flows. But when you look at C.J. Stroud, and again, this data is cumulative data. Again, you can go to the glossary of terms to kind of understand where I got this data from, but it's basically a general encapsulation of one, his completions, how many completions he had, his attempts, passing attempts, and then it looks at air yards, yak, and then air yak, which is the combination of both of those terms. Because a lot of offenses are just explosive. They have great yak, they have great air yards, and some are kind of in between. But when you look at the difference between 2023 and 2024 for C.J. Stroud, his air yards were negative 29 point difference between 2023 and 2024. The yak difference was also negative 33 points overall, and then air yak was negative 48 points. So the overall yardage, whether we're talking air yards, yak, etc., decreased tremendously between 2023 and 2024. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. One reason I think we can kind of rule out is decision making, and the reason why is because when you look at things such as the bad throw percentage, on target percentage, and decision making takes a look at on target uh, throws and bad percentage throws. And when you look at it from a decision making standpoint, CJ Stroud has done really well from an accuracy standpoint, or I wouldn't say well, but he has been pretty much performing the same way that he did from 2023 to 2024. Yes, there was a drop off in terms of his on target percentage, his decision making score overall, which again encompasses things like bad throw percentage, on target percentage, etc., was down 7 points. But it's not a drastic point. Overall offensive production was down, at least in terms of air yardage in the passing offense was down by about 33 to 48 points in different areas. So you can't just blame it on decisions. I think one of the bigger things really is pass protection and pressure. So this is a big thing right here. Taking a look at the pass protection, so looking at how many times CJ Stroud has been blitzed, how many times he's been hurried, how many hits have got on the quarterback this year, pressures, overall pressures, and pressure percentage. Just look at this, guys. Uh, Blitz percentage is down 29 points. So the Houston Texans have been blitzed significantly more than they were in 2023. Hurries, as a result, hurries have gone up. Hits on the quarterback on CJ Stroud have gone up, and pressures overall have gone up on CJ Stroud. So NFL teams are blitzing the Texans at a significantly higher rate, and as a result, it has affected the passing offense in terms of air yards and in terms of yak. So these are some big things to kind of consider. Now, is this because of C.J. Stroud? Is this because of the offensive line? These are things that a more in-depth film analysis would kind of look at. And again, my forte is not in film scouting. My forte is in database scouting. So if you're one of those film scouts out there, get at the film and look at, okay, are the blitz issues not being, affecting the offense so much? Is it because of CJ Stroud not getting into the proper protections? Is it because of the timing of the offense? All those different kind of things are definitely things to kind of look at. Or is it individual offensive play that hasn't really been working out? Again, all those things are things that you have to look at from a film perspective. But overall, this is a big, probably one of the bigger reasons why CJ Stroud has struggled so much in 2024 is because of pass protection and pressure, and particularly the increases of blitzes, pressures, etc. Now let's get to drop percentage. So you can't just throw it all on the fact that C.J. Stroud has had to deal with more, protection issues. Drop percentage has also been an issue. So the drop percentage between 2023 and 2024, that overall score has gone down by 39 points this year. So taking a look at all the performances of the offense, the drops have increased significantly from 2023 to 2024. And when you think about it, just a little bit, a lot of those drops could have been big time plays on the football field. Those definitely would have increased the chances of big plays not happening and thus air yards not occurring the way they need to. So, big plays down the football field, certain plays not happening the way they need to play. As always, I think a lot of people really underrate completions, because when a ball is completed, that's a play that potentially could happen. When the ball is incomplete, that is a play that is dead. There is no yardage to come from that play. That play is about as devastating as it is, especially on certain downs and distances, of course. But that is the biggest thing: is drop percentage also has increased. Is this because of the quarterback? Is this because of offensive timing? Um, those are the things again that a film person would probably get into a little bit more, but that definitely is a big reason why the offense has probably struggled this year is because of drop percentage. Now, overall development. So this is the general scores. So these scores, again, you could go to the link in the description, but this is the general advanced statistical scores for quarterbacks from 2018 to 2024, and gives a general score for things like drop percentage, air yards, air yak, pass pro, and of course decision making. And as you can see, CJ Stroud, the biggest thing that really was a positive for CJ Stroud in 2023 was he had a relatively low drop percentage in terms of the wide receivers that he had. Air yards was 94 out of 100, which was fantastic. So they were really making big plays down the football field. Yak was decent, not the best, but decent. Air Yak, of course, which is a combination of those two, was very good. So they had a very positive passing offense that was getting plays on the football field. Pass protection, as you can see, was it elite? No, if 56 out of 100 is not the best pass protection you could ever have, but it's a lot better than what they have this year, which is 7 out of 100. And then, of course, if you look at decision making, again, his decision making has pretty much been the same. So he hasn't been the best in terms of his decision making, and this is based on statistics. So I understand film people might disagree with this, think he's a great decision maker, but in terms of his on target throw percentage, bad throw percentage, throwaways, different things like that. Stroud has not been the best in terms of those particular metrics, statistically. So again, his decision making has been the same. It's just that the overall offense has struggled in terms of pass protection, and also has struggled in terms of drops, which has led to these decreases in terms of air yards, yak and air yak, etc. So that's the biggest thing, guys. So you talk about what happened to C.J. Stroud. I think Stroud, and I'm not trying to say Stroud has regressed or probably struggled a little bit with decision making in 2024. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. He definitely probably has regressed a little bit or had some slumps here and there in terms of his decision making. But the more eye opening or the more glaring issues that you can see here for the Texans is the pass protection issue, is the drop percentage issue, because those were significant drops in terms of that particular area. So overall, I would say C.J. Stroud, performing pretty similar to how he performed in 2023 based on his decision making, but his pass protection and the performance of the pass catchers in terms of drops has led to a slump. Stroud's decision making still remains an Achilles heel compared to his NFL peers. A lot of people have really been hyping up C.J. Stroud as like the next best quarterback, at least in terms of young quarterback that we've seen in a while, particularly because of the yardage that they put up in 2023 in the Houston Texans. But the decision making definitely is an area that I think should need to improve if he's going to become like an elite quarterback in the future. Truly a transformational quarterback who consistently puts in those productions year in and year out. Kind of like a Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or even a Brett Favre to a certain extent in terms of his particular era that he played. So this is assuming, of course, the Texans have an early playoff exit. I think that there needs to be those fixes in terms of pass protection and drops. Now, the playoffs are always different, so they could shore up these issues, and as we've seen many times, you're going to have teams that uh, can fix those issues pretty quickly, and then it's almost like they never had them in the season at all. And I don't necessarily think that that's going to be the case for the Houston Texans this year, but that is something that could happen, and then they have a really good playoff run. But if they don't have a good playoff run, if they have issues with pass protection and drops in the playoffs this year, uh, that's something that needs to be addressed, and that's something I think that needs to happen in the future. But overall, C.J. Stroud is a very young quarterback. He still has a lot of developing to go. But if you're wondering why they had such a slump this year, if you're wondering why they struggled so mightily, statistically, based on statistics, those are the biggest things that really stuck out to him. With all that stuff out of the way, thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, my name is Jim Cobern, and you can check out more videos down the pipeline coming soon. And check out these videos as well if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.